Do you want to learn how to make a website without writing a single line of code? Well, in this video, let us take a look at the top 4 CMS that you can learn. Before we talk about CMS, we need to understand what is a CMS. Well, CMS is nothing but a content management system used to create websites, but not only websites, also web applications. Using CMS, you can create a site without writing a code because it comes with a backend system to manage the content, and not just the content. You also have the option to use different themes to change the appearance of your site. And apart from the appearance and content, you can also add more features to your site with the help of different modules and plugins that can be added, installed in these CMS. Now, there are different use cases of CMS. CMS can be used to build a company website, blog, shopping sites, online magazine portal, image galleries, news website, knowledge base, and much more. Now, you must be wondering, why learn a CMS? Do you really need to learn a CMS? Will it really help you? Well, definitely. If you want to learn to make a site yourself, and that too very quickly, then CMS is the right choice. You can create a site maybe for your own business, or maybe you want to showcase your profile, maybe you want to create your own resume, or maybe you have an idea about something that you want to share with everyone. And creating a site is one of the best thing that you can do to share your ideas, your thoughts, your content with everyone in the world. And when you learn how to work on a CMS, when you learn how to create a website using, let us say, these popular CMS, you can also get a job. So there are plenty of jobs that require you to have a good knowledge of CMS. You can also start providing services to others by helping them creating their website. So you can basically start your own web development business by learning these CMS. It can also be a secondary skill. So maybe you are a Java developer, maybe you are a PHP developer, and you are thinking of learning maybe an additional skill. Then CMS is the right choice for you. Also, when you look at how these CMS work, you will learn how the systems, how these sites are built internally. So most of these CMS will have a core system. They will have an option to add additional plugins. They will interact with the database, and you will learn how a site is built when you learn different aspects of a content management system. You can also contribute back to the open source project. So most of the CMS, or rather I should say the CMS that we will be talking about in this video, they are open source, and that means that you have access to the source code. You can also add your own module or your own theme. You can contribute back to the community. So there are communities around different CMS where people help each other. They provide answers to different questions that people ask, and you have also the option to contribute back, because it will also help you in not only learning about CMS but also to showcase your skills, and it can definitely be useful when you are looking for a job. Now, the first CMS that I want to talk about is WordPress. WordPress is definitely by far the most popular website builder, and it is the number one choice for building blogs. But not just blogs, you can also build any kind of site using WordPress. It was released in 2003, and In case you want to know some statistics, it powers 37% of the sites on the internet, and this is as of July 2020. So you can imagine the popularity and the power of WordPress. It is open source, so you have the option to take a look at the source code. You can also contribute back if you want. When you want to use WordPress, you have the option to use the hosted WordPress, where you can pay someone to host WordPress for you, but you can always download WordPress on your own server. It could be a shared server, it could be a private server, but you have the option to use WordPress on prem, on your own server. For your knowledge, it is written in PHP. So in case if you are a PHP developer, or maybe you are learning PHP, or maybe you are creating site yourself in PHP, which is definitely one of the most popular language for building web applications. So PHP is the language that powers WordPress. WordPress is very easy to use. So in case you want to learn how WordPress works, you won't find it difficult. It is extremely simple. Everything is very intuitive. To start your journey, you can go to wordpress.com. The second CMS I want to talk about is Joomla, which, like WordPress, is again a very popular choice for building websites. Joomla is probably second or third when it comes to popularity, but it has a slightly different use case. We were talking about WordPress. WordPress is more focused on blog oriented sites, but Joomla can be used for any website. People use Joomla for creating their corporate websites, for creating their sites for businesses, and not just for blogs. It was released in 2005, and it is still developed by open source matters. And as the name suggests, it is definitely open source. So you can always take a look at the source code, and you can always contribute back if you want to help the community. It is just like WordPress, written in PHP. And one interesting fact about Joomla is that Joomla is built on Model View Controller web application framework. And as I mentioned before, it can be used to build any web-based application, not just blogs. And to start your journey, you can go to joomla.org. The third CMS that I want to talk about is one of my personal favorite, and that is Drupal. Drupal is slightly different than WordPress and Joomla, because Drupal is very robust, and it is one of the best CMS to manage high volume content. So you will find Drupal used in big sites, especially government portals or news portals, magazine portals. You can also build shopping portals in Drupal, but Drupal is definitely very suitable for building sites where you want to manage a lot of content. It was released in 2001, so it has been there for quite a while. Drupal is developed by Drupal community, so there is indeed a community behind Drupal that is responsible for building and maintaining the Drupal. Again, it is open source, so you have the option to take a look at the source code, and you can always contribute back to the community if you want. It is written in PHP, so just like Joomla and WordPress, Drupal is also PHP based. So if you're coming from maybe WordPress or Joomla, or maybe you want to learn Drupal, you won't find it very difficult. And as I mentioned before, that Drupal is definitely powerful for managing high volume content. And the reason is that Drupal is more than a CMS. It is in fact a content management framework. There are a lot of applications of Drupal. People use Drupal headless, and that means that they manage their content in Drupal, but the front end can be in a different technology like React, or maybe you can create your own mobile app. And with the help of APIs, the content is served by headless Drupal. And again, you don't really need to create just a website. You can in fact build any kind of web-based application using Drupal. To start your journey, you can go to drupal.org. The fourth and the last CMS that I want to talk about is my favorite, my personal favorite, just like Drupal, and that is Grav. Grav is a CMS, but there is something really interesting about Grav. Grav is a flat file CMS without any database, and it is extremely simple to set up. So we were talking about these CMSs like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal. They all need a database, but Grav can have no database. In fact, there is a database, but it is nothing but a flat file. So everything is stored in a file, and that is why it is extremely simple to set up. You don't really need to worry about the database. You don't need to worry about the connectivity of your site to a database like maybe MySQL. You can just download the Grav files, and you have basically a site which is always up and running. It was released in 2014, so it is not that old as compared to the other CMSs. Grav aims to provide simplicity when managing content online. So it is not just easy to install, but it is also extremely easy to manage the content. Everything is managed and saved in a file, in a text file, but it has a backend. So when you log in to your Grav site, you can see a familiar interface where you can create pages or maybe blogs, all without writing any line of code. Although Grav is not very old, but in 2017 and 2019, it won the Best Flat File CMS award. So you can imagine the popularity of Grav, and it is actually getting very popular for building not very complicated and heavy sites, but if you want to build a site very quickly, maybe with a blog, maybe you want to showcase your business, and you still want some ability to update the site regularly, you can definitely look at Grav. It is also written in PHP, so we have been talking about the CMS, and they are all written in PHP. So if you know already PHP, then learning these CMSs will be very simple for you. Although we are talking about building a site without writing a single line of code, but if you want to add a new module, or if you want to maybe do some extreme customization, it is always good to know that these are all written in PHP, a familiar language. It is actually based on Symfony web application framework. So in case you have experience working on Symfony, then again, you will find it very comfortable and very easy to adopt Grav. To start learning, to start your journey, you can go to this site called getgrav.org. So I hope you found this video useful and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.